So we will review the code that I have put into the various vids today, in part because it's the best way for me to kind of store it, learn it, to look it up, so it's put it into a notepad. So from the Unity Learn, where we had to move a vehicle, we have the line of code transform.Translate, and the vector 3 with the direction forward connected to time.delta time and some number specified to as a modifier equals 10. In order to understand some of these things, you really need to go and look up what they are. So we're looking up here in the time transform.Translate, although that is a small case, and we can look up vector 3 and see what vector 3 is. And you should really kind of find out what these functions are, what they do, try and understand them, because coding is not easy. I come from a Python background, which is pretty strictly basic, do as you do, whereas C# is a collection of libraries. A library is a class of functions that is code that is put into one little basket, and you import the basket, and then you upload the various functions, but they're rather difficult to understand. So vector 3, the structure of the Unity engine implementing new representations of 3D vectors and points. This structure, vector 3, is used throughout Unity to pass 3D positions and directions around. It also contains functions for doing common vector operations, and it has back, down, forward, left, right, negative, infinity, 1, a whole bunch of things. And so you can go and look these up by looking in the manual, kind of, so to speak, or just search for them, as in the case of what I did. I just came out here and searched for this item, went in and we had a look at it. Space, we're not using that. We're using the definition of description moves the translation in the direction of the distance of the translation. All right. So vector forward. So we've seen it's one of a variety of directions in which you can place the vehicle going in, and the time delta time, time delta time, time delta time. The interval in seconds from the last frame to the current one. If you don't have this in there and you just have the -1 or 001, it's going at the rate of the update, which is like 60 frames a second. So it's going to, that's why it zooms off down the road. So this is putting some control in there, and that's what that does. It sets it down to 1 time frame per second, so you have some control over it. And let's go back. And we'll go back again. Just come over here. So that's why we have this delta time and an integer. It's a whole number, which is a scalar, which means it moves things up or down. It can be positive, it can be negative. So there's an example of that. So let's come back over to our... Now there's a whole variety of other things under here, which you need to get into to find out what they are. I'm not going to go through all of this, but all of the functions under this one class enable you to do what we did in the first place, is translate, and there's a whole bunch of other things down here which I invite you to go and look at in your own time.